but it's a massive, massive fail, and it's totally my fault. Hello everyone, welcome to 27. I'm at Ryan's place at Reef Exhausts, and we're finally going to sort out the custom exhaust for the 308. Not only that, but someone is going to come here and pick me up in his electric 308. Yeah, you've heard me right, and you'll probably see that video before this one, as a matter of fact. But me and Ryan went out in this car. He's heard what it sounds like with the exhaust. I've told him what we're aiming for. It's not an exact science, of course, because until you do it, you don't know. But I'm going to be leaving the car with him, and then I'm going to be picking it up tomorrow, and I just can't wait. So I decided to go for single pipe in the end because, according to Ryan, it really isn't going to affect the noise or the kind of noise that I want, and it means that I don't have to faff around with that rear valance. I am going to miss the 4 exit pipes because I do think they look better, but this is the way the car originally was, and if I can get an exhaust that works the way I want, and it makes installation and everything else easier, then that's what I decided to go for. Hello again everybody, and it's a few days since I took the car over for the exhaust, and I have picked it up. Now with the exhaust, it was always going to be a bit of a development process. It wasn't something that could be got right first time. Ryan hasn't done one of these cars before, so you just have to make it up, see what it sounds, and then adjust as necessary. So I went to get it, but it just doesn't sound right at the moment. Well, it doesn't sound wrong, it just doesn't sound different enough. So I've got to take it back to him to do some more tinkering in about a week and a half when he's got the next slop. In the meantime, got to do that ball joint, so I'm really looking forward to getting I'm dreading getting cracking with that because it looks quite simple, and I bet it won't be. I'm really looking forward to it being done and then taking it for a drive and feeling how different it is. It's quite funny actually, because a couple of days ago, you probably have seen the video, I drove an electric one of these. And I was really impressed by it actually, I really was, I have to be honest. It's a good car. And one of the things though that I noticed was the way the weight is distributed on it. It's perfectly 50-50, whereas this is slightly more towards the back of the car. But it's 50-50, but the batteries are at the front and then the motor's at the back. So although it's 50-50 overall, I think on this car it's more centralised, and driving it back yesterday, I did notice that it just, I don't know, maybe I'm imagining it, but it felt like it was a little bit more willing to pivot than the electric car, which would probably make sense, I think. Anyway, really looking forward to driving it properly when it's fixed up. And I'm also going to do all the bushings, but I'm not going to do those today or tomorrow. I think that's going to take a while, so I've got to order them, work out what I'm going to do. But first of all, really urgent is that ball joint, which I'm going to get cracking with right now. Also, I will take off. I've decided I'm taking off the spots. I don't like them. They do look better if you take off the covers, but even then I just don't like them. They look like what they are, which is just tacked on. Don't want them. They're going to be coming off. Put a number plate on. I've got some little Ferrari stickers for the sides, which can be controversial as well for the purists, but I think it looks good. So we'll get all that done, try that, take it for a drive, and yeah, let's get going. There is the worn kingpin now, not kingpin, ball joint. So I think the issue will be that there's a tapered end. Here's the new one. There's that tapered end there that goes into the upright here. And I think that's going to be a pig to get off. So there's 2 bolts here, no problem. There's 1 bolt at the bottom, again, shouldn't be a problem, but I assume it's going to be well and truly jammed in there. I had a look while I was there, and most of the rubbers don't look that bad. The tops are fine, but the ones on the actual shocks are really perished. So those definitely need to be replaced, and these bottom ones as well are pretty perished. So I should really look at doing those, but First things first, let's see if there's any way of getting this off. 20 minutes and it's out. Unbelievable. I was expecting this to become an hour, a few hours of ordeal trying to knock that out, and it's out. I mean, I could have this, I don't want to say it now, but I could have this done in an hour. Well, I thought everything was going too well, and now an absolute disaster, and it's completely of my own making. I was jacking up the side of the car to do the other side, and basically the jack slipped and it's rammed right, and the car just dropped and it's rammed right into the side of the car. The only blessing is that it's not a structural part. The sills on this car aren't structural in that way. The frame rail is further in. But it's a massive, massive fail, and it's totally my fault. And I hadn't realised that the jack had got caught on the floor and wasn't moving. And eventually it slipped out of the jacking point, and this is the end result. I'm almost speechless at my own stupidity. So it came off, the jacking point is there, sorry, jacking point is there, came out of the jacking point and just went straight up. This isn't a structural sill, which is the only, I suppose, thing. It could have been a lot worse. So the chassis is here, so it hasn't touched the chassis, but this is basically bodywork. But all the same, it's done a fair amount of damage there. Okay, well, I'm going to finish doing the other ball joint now that it's jacked up, and you can't, well, unfortunately I wasn't filming it, but when I heard it slip and then it crunched as the jack went up into it, you have no idea how I felt. I knew things were just going too well. It was just too easy with that ball joint, and anyway, let's get on with it. I'll have to get that fixed at some point, sooner rather than later. Well, it's another day, and I think I've just about got over the shock of having been such an enormous idiot, and I'm just feeling a bit better about things. I felt so bad yesterday. And after all, I guess the way I've got to look at it is just bodywork, right? So that outer sill panel is available from Ferrari directly for for about £250. So I'm going to change the whole thing. I'm not going to try and sort out, rescue what's there. I'll just put in a new panel. I won't do that myself. I'll get a body shop to do that because I want it done properly. But I think it's just time to move on, really. This was the offending jack. I've always had issues with it. It just gets stuck on that floor for some reason, and I will never use it again. This is the one I used on the other side, which is a much heftier item. It's much more stable. And I'll get another one like this, I think, to use on the other side of the car. But it's just, lesson learnt, really. But pretty traumatic at the time, I can tell you. It's just, it could have been so much worse, because if that was a structural sill, like on most cars, I would have done some gigantic damage. Luckily, the way this car has, it's a tubular chassis and it's further inboard than that. That's really just part of the bodywork or for aerodynamics. So in a way, it was lucky. But anyway, as I said, moving on. I'm going to take out the InfluEnzo, feel the difference, hopefully, of changing those ball joints. I've taken off the spots, put on those stickers, so we'll see what you guys think about that. And also, a speedo. I think I fixed it, and I was actually trying to take the whole sender unit off, which is usually the culprit, and I couldn't take it off because I didn't have the right spanner size to get in there. So I've ordered one of those, but in the meantime, I cleaned up the connector. And ever since then, it's worked perfectly. So, fingers crossed, but maybe that was a super cheap, fantastic fix. Well, it's definitely much improved. Thank God. It brakes straight. Before it used to pull slightly to the right. And it's just a bit more predictable in the steering.
Still not quite there. I still need to look at those bushes, and that's definitely next on my list. But much improved, much nicer to drive down the road, and you can appreciate the steering a lot more like this, so that's great. Incidentally, yesterday, after I'd done the disaster, I went back into the house, checked my mail, and found a speeding fine, so it was just one of those days, really. What we're going to do now is just pull over and have a look at the way it looks without the spots and with the new stickers, so you can tell me what you think. But also, Speedo has been working perfectly, so I'm pretty sure that it was literally just down to the contacts on the switch. So not the contacts on the switch, the contacts on the plug. So that's a nice easy win, so that's good. Well, what do you think of the new look? The stickers I always liked in the pictures, but now that they're on the InfluEnzo, I'm not actually completely sure about them. I definitely prefer it at the front without the spots, much cleaner. The number plate is just a necessary evil, and it doesn't look too bad really in that size, and I was lucky that I just got handed that with the jack that came with the car. It was just in there when I looked, so that's good. Next steps are sorting out the exhaust, so that'll be in about a week and a half, I think, taking it back to Ryan so he can do some more work on it. It is promising. It's got a slightly different, a tiny bit of a rasp to it, but it's way too similar to what it was before. So he needs to do some more work. Also, I want him to cut that pipe a little bit shorter and a little bit more angled as well. And of course, I wince now every time I see this. As I said, it could have been a lot worse, but it'll have to be repaired. There's a little rust bubble there on the door already, so perhaps this is a chance to attend some of the other little bits of rust that are around the car at the same time. I want to get another trolley jack, so any recommendations from you guys would be much appreciated on what you think is best. And do any of you know of a good Ferrari body shop? Now, I don't want to go to some hideously expensive place that will do exactly the same job as somewhere else. I want a decent place that has worked on these cars before, so they know the structure here, how it's all put together, so they can do a good job. So any recommendations on that side, based in the UK, in the south of the UK, that would be much welcomed. Thank you so much, and see you for the next video.